Hello, my name is El, and I am with P.A.C.E, People Advocating Cannabis Education. Today we are at the Treating Yourself Expo booth here at the Toronto National Home Canada Bloom Show in downtown Toronto at the Direct Energy Building. Today we are with the cannabis advocate by the name of Scott. I'd like to introduce you to Scott there.
Hi, Al.
How are you doing, Scott?
I'm doing great.
Good, good. Can you tell us a bit about yourself, Scott?
Sure. I'm in my 50s, and I've been using cannabis since I was about 17 years old. When I became disabled about a decade ago, thanks to somebody using a cell phone behind the wheel of a car, I was able to get relief from nausea, which I was experiencing every morning on a regular basis by using a small amount of cannabis before I went to work. Obviously, the smell was a bit of an issue, so I take a shower, and then after I was dressed in my suit and all prepped for my first meeting, the day would go swimmingly. No more nausea. I was having a bunch of other symptoms too, and coincidentally, some of those resolved. Anxiety, panic attacks when you misplaced your keys and wallet after I went half a joint first thing the day. There's a few minor downsides, but you deal with that, and generally it helped me get through my life.
So was it when you first started using cannabis, was it for medical purposes, or did you
No. The first time I used cannabis, I was going to school with a group of people back in the 70s that were really committed to the cannabis lifestyle, and I did some research to see whether I was going to turn my brain into gray goo by trying it on a casual basis, and the literature at the time suggested that I didn't have any fear on that point. So I thought, okay, for the benefits involved in being accepted by a new social group and a new school, I thought it was worth the risk to try it. And I had some interesting experiences. I had some mental journeys during some of these trips, and I was grateful for a different perspective on life. I didn't use it other than socially with friends, and although I did have to admit that I wrote my chemistry final higher than I forgot that I had the final. I went to a friend's place for lunch.
How'd you do?
I did great.
Did you?
I did great. I got the highest mark in the school. And that's what really amazed me. It convinced me that I could actually function on this. Unlike, say, alcohol, which would cause you to crash your moped. So, I guess I approached the whole subject area with some trepidation, and it was practical experience that showed me that there was nothing to be afraid of, but that there were some benefits. Various types, both recreational and then later when we got into
health-wise, exactly. So you can look at it from both ends.
Yeah,
from both ends of the way.
It's not only a drug, but it is a tonic too.
Correct.
At the right time and place.
Yes. For several years now, I'd probably say the last few years, you've been helping us out here at the Treating Yourself Expo booth, or the Treating Yourself booth, to the National Home Show, the Expo, the Treating Yourself Expo, as well as here at the Home Show. How's the reaction been that you've been, from the people that you've been talking to?
Well, at all these shows, I think you get a representational sample of the Canadian population. And I have pretty much the same experiences when I'd say host a marijuana-themed event, say at a winery. We like to do wine and weed events just for fun, Wine and weed, yeah.
Oh, I don't know chocolate and wine, but wine and weed.
You can pair anything up with flavors. If you enjoy fruit-flavored cannabis, things like grapefruit, grape P.A.C.E, right?
Grape P.A.C.E, yeah.
A lot of grapes will have the same sort of
grape
fruit flavors that cannabis will. Like, Rieslings will have kind of a grapefruity overtone to the aromas. So if you pair a weed with a wine that have the same aromatic component in them, you try one and then you try the other, and it's like an alarm goes off on your taste buds saying, "Hey, notice the similarity?"
Oh, really? Yeah. I don't drink wine.
Well, we don't drink a lot.
We just
taste a little bit, right? But when we did that down in Niagara, at one of the major wineries, we saw the same sort of mix of reactions to what we were doing.
Yeah.
A lot of people curious, There's a small minority that turns up their nose in disgust when
Yeah.
they realize what you're doing. But there is a much greater percentage of the population than the unfavorable members of the audience that are secret supporters.
Right.
And you wouldn't know that they're out there
Yeah.
until you provide a trigger for them to come out with
Exactly.
their attitudes.
Right.
And the range of supporters that we run into at shows and socially, it's incredible. Everything from people who they're aware of the medical use of cannabis, and they're perfectly healthy, but they're armed with that information as they get older,
Right.
and they're ready
Right.
to make
Yeah.
use of it. To people who've made traditional uses of them back in Europe.
Religious reasons,
Yeah.
whether it's
We've-
sacrament,
Yeah,
or
we've met people
cultural reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, we've met people from Eastern Europe,
Yeah.
Western Russia, where they remember the days when they'd actually wrap piles of hemp stalks in the field, so that they could process the fiber for textiles, whatever sort they wanted to make.
One of the things that I always remember quite often is at one of the shows, a fellow came to us, and he was 85 years old, and he talked about back home when he was a little kid. So he's looking at 5, 6 years of age, and how every home, he said, had an opium ball in their home, and he says that's how we learned about drugs.
Yeah.
And then we've had people that are 75 years of age talk about how mom back home made a green tea when they were little. So, they're going back 70 years.
Well, at this show, I've talked to a lot of Jamaican people who remember green tea from back home.
Yeah.
And I had a lab partner in college whose father was chief of police of a city on the north side of Jamaica.
Yeah.
And whenever they'd bust a grower, all the members of the police force would take home a bale each. Bale's probably, 40 pounds of pot. Not to smoke, mind you, because that's for party. That's for the young people. The mature senior members of Jamaican society, they make tea. Yeah, it's good for aches and pains. If you're just dull, logy, listless, cranky.
That's cranky.
Sure,
like this issue of Treating Yourself that we're handing out here at the show deals with opiate crankiness. Mm-hmm. Right? Have you come across any real negative situations? Whether it's just somebody who completely disagreed with you, maybe thought that if we legalize cannabis, that the world would would end and we would all shoot and stab each other. To people who just think that it's it's the worst thing ever.
Yeah. Oh, you do run into a few of them. I think most tend to just give you a dirty look and keep walking past the booth. The occasional person will stop and with earnest well intentions give you a lecture on why this may not be a good thing for you. But the thing that you find about most of those folks is when you gently try and take up their argument and analyze parts of it, you don't want to be confrontational or anything.
Right.
You do want to present them with the facts as they're being uncovered by the scientific community. You find that they don't really have too many facts to back up their position. They're what we call declarative thinkers. Somebody has made a statement that they believe in, perhaps because they believe in the intelligence of the individual who made the statement originally, but they've never questioned it.
Correct.
Drugs are bad, right?
And they just
Drugs are bad. That's as far as it goes.
That was what they accepted instead of researching it themselves.
Yep.
And that's what we've ran into today was a lady who was here because her 26-year-old daughter has Crohn's disease. And she was here. And she thought it was great that she's seen us, and she isn't a cannabis user. And she didn't know where to start looking. So because we were here, we were able to give her a medicine. Being that I'm dealing with Crohn's, I was able to direct her to issue 19 and issue 7, and to so she could see patients as far as what they dealt with, and the medicinal information in the research article.
Yeah, it's interesting doing the show. I've got a bit of an insight on the helpful properties of cannabis with respect to various gastrointestinal ailments. My son has been telling me for years that his post-infectious IBS is helped by periodic cannabis use.
Yes.
He feels that it's not something that you can use on an episodic basis because if you're heading to the bathroom, it's kind of hard to roll the joints. You're running there, but
correct,
a daily preventative dose seems to help them out. And there's a lot of people who seem to have stumbled onto these properties of cannabis, and they're using for a range of GI ailments from Crohn's, colitis, IBS.
IBS,
Yeah,
goes
yeah.
on. Yeah, issue 19 has that real good article in it. So if you have issue 19, take a look, or look it up online at treatingyourself.com. Past issues, issue 19 will be there, and you can take a look.
Actually, we in the family, we thought that my son was just jealous of his sister who has fibromyalgia and was on the federal program. And now I'm feeling a little embarrassed that really the kid has a justifiable case for how it's helping him.
It'll help as inflammatory, irritable bowel that's being irritated, right? So it'll help with that. It'll slow the movement down within his bowel. So it's exactly. Deal with any pain, cramping and stuff. Right? So there is benefits for him. That's for sure. I know that. As far as the people coming in the booth, what do you see as far as age? Is it the young smoking crowd, or do you find that there's somebody you look across over there and think there's no way they're coming to the booth? The next thing you know, they show up.
There are some people that come to the booth that you wouldn't imagine have had any personal experience with cannabis, except for the fact that they seem really cheerful. They don't seem high, but they've got a really good attitude towards life. And in retrospect, I think, maybe they are medicated, because you find from talking to them that back in the day, they were going outdoors in high school, or they've had their experience with it, but because of work, drug testing or whatever, they have to give it up. And they see the cover of the magazine on their table here, and they just want to come back and learn a little bit more about the current situation.
Yeah. Because they realize, some of these people now that are 60 years of age, they were a 20-year-old back in the day,
70s,
the late 60s, early 70s. So, they may have used it then, got away from it, and now, they're seeing this medicinal information that's out there, so they are interested in it. So, it's good. It's good.
If you don't need it right now, just wait 10 years or so, and things will be different.
You found that people have opened up?
Very much so. Yeah. Now, remember, people self-select by who comes to our booth. I mean, we're not out there now hauling it in, right? So you've got people who are curious for whatever reason. And like I say, sometimes we get recreational users that are just interested in the state of the medical situation in Canada.
Or the laws.
Laws.
Update on the laws.
By and large, just about everybody seems to know somebody who has a medical condition that could benefit. Right. And the younger folks that are perhaps recreational users, if anything, I guess they see themselves sort of as ambassadors of information to those whose attitudes may not be as positive on the subject, but which who might be able to benefit from its use.
Well, anybody's helping out advocating cannabis education is people advocating. All right. Any stories you want to share that you've come across today? People, that they maybe shared with you that, maybe some experience. I know we've touched on some stuff of people growing back home when they were younger.
You know what amazes me, and this has struck me since last year at the home show, where they co-located for the first time with Canada Blooms. There are a lot of commercial gardening people here from out in the country, the hinterland of Ontario, joining provinces. Right. And I made some connections last year with that farming community, and in the last year, I have realized that prohibition of marijuana is a total farce. Everybody in the country is growing it. If it wasn't for marijuana, there would probably be twice as many family farms that would have been lost to the
I'm sorry. I thought you had met Eileen already. Graham.
Yeah. Hi, how are you?
We're putting our trails together in Paris.
Okay, so you're the person.
Right,
I was mentioning, I said, who's Al?
What's the status of this trail? And he'll just email back. Yeah. So he's put signs up. This is what Trans Canada one. He's got the Trans Canada Trail.
Correct.
There's some movement now. We're getting to get some signage.
Yeah. I'll go over to talk to you in a minute.
Yeah, you're in the middle of it.
I'm just in the middle of doing something here. Okay, no problem. It happens. Well,
I guess that's it.
that's it. We're gonna. Anything else you want to add? Pretty well.
I guess the thing at this point is we're all wondering what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
And I think that with what we do here, we can feel good about telling people what their options are, because regardless of who's supplying us with product, it's brought a lot of us a lot of relief. It's helped us to avoid prescription medications. Here's the story. The current issue of Treating Yourself, the cover story is on the relative merits of medical cannabis versus pharmacological preparations for relieving certain ailments, and focusing in on the degree of side effects going on. Right after I settled my tort suit against the driver that hit me, I had my own doctor and I went to a new guy. He gave me 3 prescriptions that he felt would help my situation, and he absolutely refused to have anything to do with medical cannabis. So after doing my best to educate him and being told that he wasn't even interested in learning, I changed doctors. From the new doctor, who did put me on the medical marijuana program, I found that those 3 medications were all subject to class action lawsuits.
Oh, wow. Nasty.
So, I've absolutely no doubt that I'd be in far worse shape than if I'd stuck with that doctor's prescriptions.
Oh, yeah.
I'm better off with medical cannabis. And in fact, I've given up all prescription drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have it.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, I know I've been able to reduce mine down. I still have some prescription drugs that I have to take, as well as vitamins and things that I'm prescribed to take. But that's also due to my condition, so yeah, I have to do that. So, okay, Scott. Well, I'm going to wrap everything up. I'd like to thank you for taking some time here and talking to the people. And for the people that are watching this online, thank you for being cannabis advocates as well. So I'd like to wrap things up here from the Treating Yourself Expo booth at the Toronto National Home and Canada Bloom Show. Until the next time, we'll talk to you later. Thank you. Bye-bye.